All right, click the links to join the channel here over at SubScribestar, now over at Odyssey. So delving into this peak soy boy energy. Stonetoss triggers the mentally unstable because the left can't meme. Think about this. How much energy over the past 5-6 years has the left spent on a guy who makes comics instead of just making their own comics? Author of far-right comics. Well, I mean, you could let us read the comics and decide for ourselves, but I forget this isn't the media anymore. Allegedly doxed by a bunch of soy boys. So he got doxed, and he doesn't care. He used it to sell his plushie toys. The right wing doesn't care because he's a pretty normal person, taller than usual, but that was about it. But the left wing kids hate him with such an insane passion, and most of the reason is because the left can't meme. He makes comics, usually a single pane, 4 panels, and it offers a counter-argument to the mainstream narrative. The rest of the MSM is 100% globalist bleeding pussies, but you get one guy who dares to go against the narrative, and the terminally online Twitter Twinkie kids want to literally delete him, and the mainstream globalist parasitical media narrative feels threatened by him and other decentralized sources of independent media. They liked it better when they had total control of the message, but people found out that the media is lizard people who want to create a hell on earth so they can bring in Lucifer to this mortal realm. The media lies, and unfortunately there is no counterbalance in the mainstream. So in various forms, the alternative independent media popped up, and the puppet masters are not happy about that. They had a narrative matrix to maintain, and it's all starting to collapse. If they can't brainwash the cattle debt slaves, people will start thinking for themselves, and therein lies dangerous territory, because that's how revolutions start. People look at the fact that, I don't know, for example, someone was talking about this on Twitter. They go like, so all countries are in debt to these central banks. Why don't we just seize their assets and just deport them? I mean, there really are a lot of wonderfully dangerous ideas once you break out of political correctness. And I will say we're getting close to that point because they're overusing these labels they attach to people. Anyone who says anything that's wrong, they label as istophobic. And if you use anything to death, it just loses its power, which is right where we are now, which is where these left-wing hackers come in, because they're the foot soldiers, the useful idiots of BlackRock and the central banks and whatnot. They're raging against the machine funded by Chase Morgan and the rest, to the point where they spend their time and energy doxing a comic book artist, because in their mind, his comics mean he's Hugo Boss, and the useful idiots have been brainwashed to have a stimulus response to this concept. They've normalized the idea that you should do violence to them, which nobody thought about because they mostly don't exist. And even if they did, you figure like, so I don't understand. You're saying you want to do violence to people for like thought crimes or something? But then you realize that they consider you, me, their own parents, and definitely their grandparents, Hugo Boss or Andy Nago or Ben Shapiro or Laura Loomer. You get the idea. And like Mao's children, they're eager to literally kill us as wreckers of progress. Then they'll usher in a communist system that will work this time, as long as this collection of mentally ill, depressed, drug-addicted, obese, useless people are in charge. They don't have any actual skills at anything. But they've read a lot of theory, and they're on a ton of medications that they assume will continue uninterrupted while society collapses. Oh, and they hate the working class who actually makes society function, the plumber and the tile guy type of thing. And they'll send those people to the gulags because they use racial epithets. In the mind of a leftist, words or thought crimes equal violence. So Stonetoss conveys a simple message, so you'd think, well, if the left doesn't like it, just ignore it or block him. It's a comic. Or the other option is to draw your own left-wing comic. And that is where the problem is, because the left can't meme. Because the left has bad ideas that can't be defended. So the short soy boy memes are usually along the lines of trans something and then violent fantasies. And that's the punchline is violence. Keep in mind, this is coming from these 300-pound soy boys who are scared to talk to people IRL because they end up getting restraining orders against them. Their other form of meme is verbose. It's a wall of text that requires, I think, tabula rasa is the phrase. They seem blank slate. They seem to think everything revolves around capitalism and the need to destroy the family, religion, and race. Under capitalism, everyone is a greedy bastard and looks out for their own people and screws everyone else. And you have a corrupt oligarchy of parasitical bankers in charge. So they want communism that relies upon the altruism of the same bastards, and you have a corrupt oligarchy of parasitical bankers in charge. Almost every idea of the left is so painfully stupid. It's along the lines of, well, we should just print more money. And I don't care about farmers because I get my food from the store. They think in Northern Europe, I don't know, Sweden or something, there's too much nitrogen in the farms, so we're shutting down the farms. You know, that's where food comes from. Oh, no, it comes from the store. They think a diverse group of people who hate each other right now will work together for the, or they go, oh, well, we'll just get it from China or something as long as their currency has value. You go, so they're using like nitrogen to grow the same thing. It's the same crops. They're using the same methods. In fact, they're even using worse methods because they don't give a shit about the environment. Yeah, but it's the sin is on them. So they think a diverse group of people who hate each other right now, where there's constant conflict right now, will work together for the common good, and the system will be enforced by these corrupt globalist parasitical bankers. The bloody history of communism is pretty clear, but the kids refuse to actually talk to people who lived through it. Then when you suggest, National Socialism as an alternative, they lose their minds. They're pretty easy to tweak on Twitter, and they have this habit of self-censorship, where they don't even want to like watch alternative videos or be exposed to different books or something. It's like they won't even consider the idea. It's when you can get someone to censor themselves, I mean, you really have total control. So they've got the same beliefs as their teachers, mainstream media, and every billionaire corporate figurehead, and they think that they're edgy and alternative. They can't meme concept is important because they have to censor and deplatform, because if they actually simply talk to somebody with different views who's familiar with communism, eventually the left-wing person won't be on the left anymore. So keep in mind, he's a comic book artist, and they want to literally remove him from this moral coil. The thing is, when you have better ideas, you invite people to discuss them. You don't fear the open marketplace. You can see the left have childish emotional meltdowns every time they actually have to talk to a calm person, like a Carl Benjamin type who they think is far right, who bends over backwards to be polite. That's the only thing with the left-wing kids, is most of them are deeply mentally ill and violent sociopaths. It's actually been that way for a long time. They kind of see themselves as losers, but also intellectuals who are screwed in this corrupt system, and under socialism, they'd be in a better position. No, you wouldn't. Instead of, it's exemplifies them spending so much time on Stonetoss instead of taking all that time and energy and networking with all these people who are spent, how many thousands of hours and of their own time working on this Stonetoss guy and getting upset at them. They're like, why don't you just counter the narrative? I mean, surely someone can draw. Stonetoss artistic styling. Let me take a look at an example. You've seen his styling. It's pretty simple, right? It's just, it's simple. The brilliance, I guess, is in the writing, the punchlines, and the facial expressions. But I'm no artist. But I assume that like someone could make their own 4-panel comic on the left. But this, I thought this was funny. Apparently, he's Latin American or something. Which is funny because it might be like German to Argentina, to wherever he went from there, probably to America. A lot of our families left Germany to go to Argentina because they had to escape the communism, the communist oppression that was happening there. And Anyway, everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome in the far extreme straw man right or steel man right. I don't know what they call it. The left wing is so bizarrely stupid. It hurts when the people they point at and they call Hugo Boss, and you realize it's almost everyone who isn't them, including including people who like couldn't be. And you look at them as like, do any of the things you say make sense? Do you think about words before you say them? They go, no, we just kind of goes from the brain to the mouth. Where there's no like conscious thought about anything. There's no, I don't know. There's this thing about like some people don't have inner dialogues or something. And the real thing about the left is most of them are sociopaths, and they're this Bolshevik found family concept where they have to have this communism to work, and it will fix everything. And there's a lot of them who are in the BLT community, and they think like, oh well, if I get on these drugs and get this elective surgery done, it'll fix things, and I'll be able to be complete or something. And you look at them, it's like take all this time and energy and just work on yourself. Have you considered eating better and getting a little exercise? Like, no, I couldn't possibly be that simple. It's like, honestly, a lot of it is. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.